Hello and welcome to the Big League Show. As always, I'm Connor Somerville, joined by Aiden Silliphant, he's somewhere in here. And this week we're back after a little hiatus due to Aiden taking off to a cottage and the first week of online classes, which are interesting to say the least. But that is not important right now. What is important is our guest we are finally having on, who we've wanted to have on for probably the last 3 to 4 weeks. And unfortunately, due to schedules, we haven't been able to figure it out. But Therese Sevilla, she's done a ton of stuff in the sport graphics area of stuff. So she's our first, full graphics person. She's done some stuff with TSN, which we'll get into. But Therese, how are you doing today?
I am doing amazing. Thank you for having me on the show, guys.
Thank you for coming.
No
Really
Thanks
appreciate
for coming
it.
on. Yep.
You've done a ton of stuff for everybody in this program, like just various little jobs and things. And I know you hate this already. But
I just can't take compliments, but I'm just gonna calm down.
We're just hyping you up. That's all.
Yeah, we're hyping you up. We're getting you going. We're getting you ready because we need energy today because we got to fire through this episode. We only have a couple hours to record, which if you follow this podcast at all, you know that's going to be a struggle. But we're going to spend a ton of time on you because you've done, and like, how many things do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 different projects, both graphics and YouTube related. But let's sort of start off with your early life. And I've asked everybody this, or I've asked 2 people, I guess, so far, this question to open up our interviews, which are really just conversations. And it's, what is your first sports memory and sports media memory?
Okay, sports memory. I do believe it was the 2010 Vancouver Olympics, obviously. And I think 2010 kind of changed my life because that's when I'm like, oh, this player, like Jonathan Toews, right? He's my favorite player. But I think that's when I was like, oh, I really love this sport. And obviously they won the cup that year as well. And Toews, I think he was the best like forward, right? For the 2010, I believe so, for that game.
I can't remember who won the award, although I find
Sidney
that a little hard.
Crosby.
Yeah, Sidney Crosby was on that team. So
And also, I think Chicago won in 2011, I believe, too, right? It wasn't 2010.
No, they won 2010.
They won 2010? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they won the year after Pittsburgh. Red Wings went back-to-back. 08, 09.
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver in 2011, or Boston. But
Boston, yeah.
Vancouver, yeah.
Let's not remind us of that.
Yeah.
But but that's like watching sports. But sports, I was involved early on because I played soccer my entire life. I've played it since I was like 7, and I've honestly, guys, I remember this one moment. I think I was like 15. I was like, oh, I told my mom, I was like, I want to be a professional soccer player. Obviously that didn't happen, but if you look at the rates right now, I think girls in soccer, they just tend to quit, which it actually sucks because I'm obviously a victim of that. But I kind of wish I continued, but obviously as you grow up, priorities change, school gets in the way, and I feel like you only continue it if you, I guess, want to pursue it in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But
what level did you get to?
Yeah,
I got to rep because I'm in Markham, okay. So I played for the Markham Soccer Club. Yeah. See, I quit when I was in, I think, 2017. So
you were like 17? I assume you're the same age as us.
100 guys. 2000.
2000. Yeah. 2000.
Yeah. But I think I quit 2017 or 2018. But
so that's not too long around your last year of high school. Man.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So did you play like high school soccer? Did you play on your high school team?
No, I didn't. It was really competitive, and it's not that I didn't have confidence in myself, right? It was all the, I guess, overachievers on that team, like popular girls. Okay. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. Well, obviously that's not gonna it didn't really bother me, but I just didn't want to join high school at all, you know? Like, high school. And plus my high school was just No, yeah.
Were you at a public school or a private school? What sort of schooling
I
was
went
your situation?
I went to a Catholic school. St. Brother Andre. Oh, if should I be saying that here? Yeah,
It's up
St.
to
Brother
you.
Andre in Markham. Yeah, small town, nothing to see here. People are like, "Oh, can we come to Markham to see you?" I'm like, "What do you want to do here?" Like, there's literally just fields. Like, it's besides Stouffville, there's nothing here. But yeah.
Hmm. That's interesting. So you quit soccer at around 18, but what sort of drew your interest towards sport media in particular, as opposed to just sports?
So basically, I think it was my last year, so grade 12. I took this class. It was called sports marketing, and I was like, "Oh, okay, it's cool. It's the only thing that like I like sports. I like business in a way." And then we had this big project. It was like the pitch competition, and I think we had to like present it at the end of the year to like a couple like I don't know where they were from, but they were like professionals in the industry, and our team actually won. So we had to pitch a soccer team. So we called it like the Indianapolis Pirates or whatever, and then and then we I actually like did the graphics and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is like I'm enjoying this. Like I enjoy staying up until 4 a.m. doing this. So I so I think that was like I think I had it first semester. So that was around the time of like application. So I was like, oh, Ryerson has a sports media program. Let me apply. Like I'll apply to that. And I think a couple weeks before I like went to the uni fair and Joe was there and he explained it and I was like, oh, this is cool. And he was like, oh yeah, this is a really hard course, like a hard program to get into. And I'm like, okay, sure. And then I ended up applying still, but now we're here. Like,
So if it wasn't for that one project, you don't think you would have gotten into this program? It could have just completely changed your career path?
not that okay, that class had a lot of influence in me, but okay, honestly, kind of. Because okay, that class had a lot of influence in me. I don't know, it was just very sports, and you know how sports, and sports is a very it's buzzing all the time, and I knew from early on I wanted to be a graphic designer, but I didn't know what kind. I guess I was like, oh, do I do like illustrations, like just random, like just a plain graphic designer? But I realized sports is such a great, I guess, path to go into because something is always happening. It, I guess. Well,
Oh yeah.
obviously, like
You're right. Yeah.
it's always something's always happening.
Mhm.
There's like you wanna, and it's just such a great like platform to like be part of. But yeah.
Yeah, and I saw that with when I was doing the research, which, as I was saying beforehand, feels really creepy. And yeah, you've done a bunch of stuff for various different non-sports related things, which we'll dive into it in a little bit. But let's start with the application process. What was that like for you, and sort of how did you find it?
Okay, so yeah, applying, I was like, oh, we had to write an essay, right? Or like a paragraph or something.
Yep.
I think, yeah. Maybe, was it 2 essays? No, just one. One before and one during.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the one before, I was so nervous. I'm like, am I even making sense here? I totally forgot the question, but I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just hand it in, blah, blah, blah. Like that one. But the actual essay that you guys were talking about, like at the interview,
Yeah.
I got the question of like, what's the best like sports memory?
Yeah. That's
Like
what
you
I
guys
got.
got that too? Or something?
Mine was like, I think, what's the best sports moment you've seen
Yeah.
live and then on TV?
Yes. So I wrote about the World Cup of Hockey, the 2016, because I went to the Canada versus Czech Republic. Yeah, so I wrote about that and I'm like, oh, it felt like the entire nation came together, wrote some random ass and it was like, and then Toews scored and I think they won like 6-3. It was a really good game. But yeah, that was like one of my favorite games. So I wrote about that. And I think I was the only sport media person in there, like applicant there, because I was the only one who had like the pink paper or whatever. Because I know like they'd put like new media production and sport media, and like you get the blue paper, purple paper or whatever, pink paper, and I'm like, oh shit, everyone's applying for media production. Like this is so intimidating. But yeah, I was the only sport media person there, like always. But
What day did you interview, and who was your interviewer?
March 27th, and I had Joe.
Gee, I'm so surprised.
Joe.
So many people just know their dates right away. I can't believe that. I always have to look it up.
Like, can I tell you guys, I was so nervous. I left my door open for 2 hours because I was running to the train. I left my door open, completely open. It was winter. That's how nervous.
You left your front door open?
Front door open, wide open.
At least you're in a bunch of fields, I guess, as quoting you.
Was it snowing that day?
It was really chilly. That's what I remember. But
well, if you're not from Canada, that's what March is like in the winter.
Yeah.
It sucks. What was the interview like for you? How did you sort of find it? How did you sort of connect with Joe? What was that like?
Joe was so nice. It was very obviously very intimidating, right? He was like, oh yeah, I think he said something about like not a lot of girls applied this year or something like that. And I'm like, it's great to have like, you know, females in the industry. And I talked about like Tessa and Scott. Wait, this is going from my memory. Like, I think I talked about like Tessa and Scott and like meeting them. Okay, so me and Joe actually had like a 10-minute conversation on which Shakespeare adaptation, which, you know, guys, you know the movie She's the Man? I
recognize the name.
Yeah.
Channing Tatum, the soccer movie. Channing Tatum, Amanda Bynes. So we were literally.
I do recognize that. She plays a guy, right? She fakes being a guy to play on a soccer team. Yes. Yeah. Okay, I know that movie.
We spent 10 minutes figuring out like which Shakespeare adaptation that was from, but it ended up being Merchant of Venice. It was just a very casual conversation. Like, I love Joe. He was so nice. He definitely made the interview more like casual and just conversation. Like, because I know others, it was more like business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about you guys? What did you
think? I think that's like a common theme though. Like from everyone that we've talked to, it seems like the people who kind of turn their interview into a conversation are the ones that got in and the ones that we've been talking to now. But who did I have? I had Joe as well for mine.
Oh, you had Joe as well? Okay.
Yeah.
Also, we haven't talked to anyone who hasn't gotten into the program yet. So take that with a grain of salt.
We should do that.
For all we know, somebody who applied and had a great conversation didn't get in. So
that would be an interesting conversation to have.
Just
do you know anyone that's applied to this program that didn't get in?
I know someone. Do you guys want his number?
You know what? Maybe later on.
That might be a funny interview. We'll see. I don't know. Do we really want to hit him while he's down? Did he turn out better?
He's in media production now. He's in media production, so he applied.
Oh, okay.
Isn't media production harder to get into?
No, it's easier. I applied for that too. Yeah.
I got into sport media. I didn't get into media production. I got waiting listed for it.
Yeah, I didn't get into media production as well.
Oh, really? I got into both.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I did.
You're flexing on us now,
huh? But my goal was always sport media. Like, I did media production as primarily just the backup because I wasn't sure if I wanted to get into like full on sports or like film. But yeah, I can't believe I got into both. I can't believe I got into this one still.
No, yeah, it's crazy. I think we had like 4,000 applicants, right?
Yeah, it was like a 10% acceptance rate. I think it was of 700 who did like the interviews or something. Like 70 of us got in.
That is nuts.
That's now dropped off because some people have, applause to everyone. When did you find out you got into Ryerson?
I was eating lunch in my library and I'm looking at like OUAC, right? And I'm like,
Wait, hold on. You were eating lunch in the library? Because at my high school, you can't do that.
You had a library? I didn't even have a library.
Like we couldn't either. We were eating in like the.
You're just like trying to like hide it, right?
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to hide it. And then I was like, eating, and I'm like, wait a minute, I think I'm in because I think it said like accept, right, or whatever. And then I call my mom. I like run to like the actual like cafeteria to tell like one of my friends who got in as well for Ryerson, and it was a rush, and I was so happy. And I think I accepted the 2 days after.
Really?
No, yeah.
Wow. So was that your first choice then?
Ryerson was definitely my first choice. So I only applied for Ryerson. I only applied for sport media, media production, and graphic communication management.
Okay.
But I did not get into media production. I did not get into graphic communication management. But honestly, I think this is like the right path. I think it was like meant to be.
Yeah, it's definitely a good program, as hopefully
Yeah.
you can see with this podcast. But yeah, it's really interesting to hear everybody's paths to Ryerson's sport media program. Like I found out at a track meet in between events. And Aiden, have you told the story do you even remember where you found out?
Yeah, I was in my so like at my old high school, we have like a TV studio there as well, and it's like my first class of the day. So I just remember, getting to class like 10 minutes late or something, pull out my phone and just see an email from Ryerson, and like I'm just like, whoa, I got an email. I got something. And then I tell my friends about it as well before I even open the email. I'm just like, okay, guys, like, yo, this is big. If I get in here, and then I think even one of my friends suggested like, hey, what if I open it first and then I tell you? So I don't know if we actually did that or not, but I remember like we kind of opened the email together and it got in. So and it was pretty sick.
It's a good feeling, to say the least, when you get into a program.
Yeah.
How many programs did you apply to before we take a quick break and then dive into everything you've done outside of sport media?
Yeah, so I only applied for four programs. So 3 of them were at Ryerson and one was at, what's that one? I totally forgot. It's in downtown.
OCAD?
OCAD. Oh my God,
OCAD,
yes.
yeah.
OCAD. And I got into OCAD, but I was like, I don't know if I want to do this because it's just mainly graphic design, right? And I'm like, I kind of want more than that. Like, I don't know. No, definitely. I'm glad I chose this program. Thinking about it now.
You
Like,
made the
what is
right
it?
decision for sure, I think, based on talking to you and how you have seemed to enjoy sport media, to say the least, and you're already working in the industry, which we'll dive into in a second. But we're going to take a very quick break because our Zoom call is about to run out. And unfortunately, we've tried with our Ryerson emails and we don't get the extension. So the breakup of the calls is going to have to continue. But we'll dive into everything you've done outside of Ryerson and how you found the program so far in 1 second. All right. And we're back for our probably what we should patent, the stalker segment, which is where we dive into all of the research that I've done, which basically incorporates looking up their name on Google and scrolling through their social media pages. Although I'm going to be honest, I didn't scroll through your entire Twitter feed because you have 25,000 tweets.
Wait, like,
Whoa.
let me tell you, like, I have so much, like, I have a lot of stories about that, but we can dive into that later.
Let's hear them right now.
Wait, so I was that hockey fan that literally live tweeted, like, okay, if you scroll down, if Jonathan Toews like passed, I'm like, oh my God, Taser, you did that. Like, come on. I would literally live tweet every single move, like for Hawks, Leafs. I think I did Leafs. I'm pretty sure I did Leafs too. And then, yeah, I'm totally exposing myself here, but you guys know Sport Buzz?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, so me and Kayla's, like Kayla, another girl in our program, she so before Sport Buzz, it was actually my Jonathan Toews fan account.
Really?
Wow.
I'm not even joking. That's why we had like that many followers before. And I was like, oh wait, we're too lazy to start one, like a new one, start from scratch. If you guys look through it, it's like
Wow.
2,000 inactive, but I still have the posts archived because I didn't want to delete it because memories, but but yeah, that's totally exposed myself there, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know about exposed, but
Jeez.
it's one way to start a following, I guess, and keep a following going.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. You don't want to
do you
lose
have
all
any-
those followers.
Aiden, do you have any secret fan accounts that we don't know about that we could use?
Leafs lover.
You want to use my TikTok? My TikTok's got
your
like over
TikTok.
400 followers or something on there.
Oh, 400 followers is actually a lot for
Yo,
TikTok.
I had some good ones. I have over 18K likes as well.
You're famous. Charlie who? Honestly.
Yeah, I know, right?
18K likes and you're famous.
18K likes.
That's pretty good. Yeah. We can start posting clips of our show on your TikTok.
On TikTok, exactly. That's
And the
actually good
Chinese-
exposure, you know?
The Chinese government will know that we do a podcast. I'm kidding. I'm not going to push that stupid conspiracy theory. Let's dive into some of the stuff that you've done affiliated with Ryerson to begin with, because you've done a couple things. It hasn't been infinite like your other stuff, but let's start with Curtis, because you've sort of been involved with that for around a year or so. And what you do there, you're like the graphics person there, I guess is the best way of describing it.
Mm-hmm.
What has that entire experience been like, and sort of how did that come about?
Yeah, so it was last summer, and I think I saw, you guys know the email, like job opportunities, blah, blah. I think it popped up in there, or there was like a IG post about it, but I was like, oh, I kind of want to be part of something, just not go to class, go home. I actually want to, take full advantage of my uni experience and get out there and meet new friends who aren't in my program. But so I applied, got it. I got it. I actually went into the interview. I think the interview was actually after the Raptors parade, and I was scared of going into like downtown because of the shooting, obviously, and like everything that happened. But I went, yeah, did the interview, thought it went well. Oh, it did go well, and got the job. Been the graphic designer ever since last year, June 2019. But it's been great. Like I've met so many amazing people. I think it's only me and Sam, another girl in our program, who are in Curtis that's in sports media, that I believe, because everyone else is either they're mostly media production and a couple new media students as well, and they're just all amazing. Like, and it's great to be a part of something in that. I guess like it's kind of like a community in a way, and like we're all friends, and no, yeah, it's been a great, amazing experience, like working within a team as well, and like collaborating with other creatives.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know what Curtis is, it's the course union of RTA students. So I don't know if you can dive into like what that entails, maybe a bit more on like what the application process was like for incoming students, if they'd potentially be interested in getting involved with Curtis.
Mm-hmm. So Curtis, it's basically the course union of RTA's 3 programs, so sport media, media production, and new media. So we overlook the events. We kind of like take care of you. No, I'm joking. We kind of like market like the events. Like if there's a gala, obviously there's no gala happening this semester, but yeah, if something's happening, like we offer like advice. It's just, I honestly don't know how to explain it. It's just, I guess, all the 3 programs coming into one and making sure all the programs like know what's happening this day, like when course intentions are. And we do that, well, now this year we're like rebranding. So we did a lot. So we're doing a lot of like heavy content where, making series, like we have Cooking with Curtis. I don't know if you guys saw that, but if you don't have to see it, because
I think I saw that.
Didn't you guys start? Did you guys start a TikTok?
Yes, we did. You guys don't need to dive into that. It's fine. But so this year we're definitely focusing more on like content, because obviously there's not going to be like any events, because like last year we had the winter gala, Halloween, and yeah, we're definitely hoping that all first years and like obviously second years can see what we're all about, and obviously third years. But yeah, and like we recently had Frosh. It was viral. It was all online. We had movie nights, and it was a big success actually. But yeah,
that's interesting.
Is that something that you would encourage first years to maybe try out for, like coming into the school?
Yes. So first years, I 100% agree, recommend applying for Curtis, because I think every year they accept first year reps for all 3 programs, and it's just a great way to like, you can also put that in your resume, it's just, I don't know, it's just a great overall community, and everyone's just so nice, and it's definitely like it's definitely worth it. Yeah.
And something else that you've done with Ryerson, you've done a little work with the Eye Opener, doing some graphics for them. So how did that sort of come about? Like, how do you get involved with the Eye Opener for doing graphics, and what has that sort of experience been like for you?
Okay, so for the Eye Opener, it's kind of fun. It's kind of a funny story because I'm actually not. Okay, so I only did one thing for them so far, and it was because Joseph, another guy in our program, he like texted me. He's like, "Hey, we need a couple of like illustrations for like basketball. I think of Tom DeMont, and it's kind and I think they wanted it because like they want an illustration on like Corona and stuff and how they're all leaving. So I did that, and that's the only thing I did so far. But I did apply for the Eye Opener graphics position this year, and I got in. So.
Oh, nice! Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, but that's the only thing I did so far. But hopefully, there's more to come this upcoming semester.
So what's it been like working for the Eye Opener in a non-read like writing role? We've had a couple of people on who've written articles for them, but we haven't had anyone who's done like photography or graphics. So what's that sort of been like working with them?
The Eye Opener?
Yeah.
Well, I've only done that one project, and it wasn't like really official. So I can't really say anything, but yeah, I can't really say anything on that, but it's honestly, sometimes I kind of like overwhelming myself and applying to random stuff, and I'm like, oh, let's just get like I honestly like to keep myself busy, you know. But yeah, yeah, I can't really say anything on that, but
that's fair. And you're starting pretty soon. Oh, go ahead, Aiden.
I'm starting pretty soon. Yeah, they haven't really said anything yet, so they haven't said anything yet, like on like the content they want. But yeah.
So your schedule is gonna get pretty busy, I guess, with school and then Eye Opener and what you've been doing with TSN, which is what we'll get into, I guess, now. How did that start? Because I think from like Connor and I's perspective, and probably a bunch of other people from sport media,
how can we work for TSN? In other words,
no. I'm not even getting into that. But we saw the post on their TSN official Instagram account, and I think to a lot of us it kind of looked familiar at first, right? We kind of recognized like that piece of work, and then I think you reposted it on your own account, and that was crazy. Like that's the first time someone from our program has been featured on their account. So how did that start?
Do you guys want like the full story?
Yes.
Why not?
Okay, so basically, so you guys know our class last year, first sem, I believe, our TV lab, and we had to do a job shadow of someone in the industry for like our essay or something. So I reached out to Dave, he's head of like TSN like content and like bar down. He actually got back to me. It was so embarrassing because it was on Twitter. I was like, hey Dave, can you follow me back so like I can message you? But so yeah, he got back to me. I actually, instead of shadowing him, I shadowed Corwin from Bar Down.
Okay. Yeah.
So, you know, he like showed me their like daily stuff. I drove all the way up to, well, not all the way up, but I drove all the way to Scarborough to shadow them. And then, yeah, I think that was the first like interaction. So I already like got their emails and stuff if I ever wanted to like reach out. And then the next time I went to their like Bar Down live show, if you guys didn't know, like they had like where did they have
I heard
a
about
live
that
event.
That was at the Hockey Hall of Fame. Yeah.
The Hockey Hall of Fame. Yep, they had it at the Hockey Hall of Fame. And yeah, I went to that. I asked like Eric a question, which is I think he's like head of graphics, or like he's one of the graphics people. And I was like, oh hey, do you have any advice for like people who want to go into like the industry and like for like graphics and stuff, because like I know it's like a very important role, especially like now. And then like he answered, and he's just really nice. He's so nice, Eric, and like everyone when there. So like that's like the other interaction. And then after I was at the mall, and then this is like a couple months later, Ella texted me, another girl from our program, and she also has she was like, I think she recommended me to Dave because she had an interview as well, and she got it. So
wow.
for TSN, and then no, yeah, so she recommended me. Then I went for an interview, like again to actually meet Dave because I haven't met Dave yet. But no, it was nice. Like he was really nice, and he was like, oh, you can shadow for a bit. So I stayed in the office for a bit just to, see the atmosphere and see like what their like daily, like the graphics and then like what they're doing like every day. And then after that, like obviously Corona hit. Like I think that was like late February. So Corona hit. So obviously that's like not on everyone's like first, like mind. And I was like, oh, it's okay. Like I'll reach it maybe later. And then like maybe like after everything like kind of dies down. So like, yeah. And then you guys remember my Naomi Osaka graphic? I don't know if you guys remember,
So.
but
You've made a couple of them, haven't you? For her?
Yeah.
Connor knows it inside it.
Well, I think he made one recently because she just won the U.S. Open, which we should probably talk about.
So my latest Naomi Osaka graphic, DZ actually reached out to me and he was like, oh, Therese, we would love to offer you a position and stuff. And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, yeah, of course, like why would I turn that down? But no, yeah, so they reached out to me, and then ever since I've just been kind of training under their graphics people. And they're all so nice. They're all so amazing and nice.
That's pretty crazy. I didn't realize
That's
Ella
sick.
had gotten a position at TSN. So I guess that's someone else we have to have on, Aiden. Because I think she's doing stuff with SPMA Hub as well, which is another sort of site. But what has that sort of been like in terms of being new to TSN in the COVID era? Like, how have you sort of found that?
I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. They're all so nice, but I'm just so I get really intimidated, because it's obviously TSN, and it's kind of scary because you don't see them in person, and for like and you're obviously on like Zoom and stuff, but they're all so nice and they're all very welcoming. I feel like I just need to burst out of my bubble and like, I like, yeah, I get really scared, but
I think it just takes time to do that. Like there's a lot of nerves probably for you, like right at the start.
Just hearing about it makes me nervous.
Yeah. But like obviously you're really talented at doing the graphics, so like you should have that confidence. So one of my questions here is, how do you make your graphics like so good? like what goes into making a graphic? Like tell us about like the process. Like is it you have to find the fonts first, you have to find the photos first, colorway, like what's your process in making a graphic?
Okay, my process in making graphic is, well, before TSN, I'm like, I'll just make this because I want to, right? So I definitely get inspiration from other creatives, because I think in this industry, obviously, you want like, oh, that looks nice. I'll incorporate that to mine. But definitely, I'm gonna be straight up. If I go into a graphic, it doesn't like it's not like the same idea in the end. Like it's definitely like a process where you don't know what the outcome is. Well, for me, because I never know. You started, right? So you have the pictures, you have the fonts. Oh, I get my fonts from the font, by the font,
yeah, the font's good.
The font, but
sponsored. This episode is sponsored by thefont.com.
But yeah, so if I'm ever working a graphic, it's definitely not the same outcome in the end. But once I have an overall, like a general idea, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do Naomi Osaka US Open. I'm gonna get her pictures, get the font that I want. But as you're working it, as you're like working on it, you're gonna be like, oh, that doesn't look good. So I'm just gonna play around with it. So definitely graphics, you just play around with it and see it eye to eye. That's my thing. And also filters are important. That's what I found, because it really brings everything together.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who doesn't understand graphics at all, this is all gibberish to me, but I'm sure Aiden knows a bit more about that. So
I'm curious, like obviously like the photos that you use, and I'm always curious with like the copyright stuff. Is there
Mhm.
like certain photos that you can use, or like are there the photos that you use for the TSN graphics? Do they
Yeah.
give you those photos?
So yes, they do give me the photos from Getty. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think because they gave me like the account where I don't have the watermark.
Right. Right.
No, yeah, but there's also a website if you didn't know. It's called tomato.to and it takes out the watermark.
And you can
Lucas
use
Wagner
those for
told me.
free though, or you can still get copyrighted on those. You can use them
It's
for free.
yeah.
Oh,
Lucas Wacker, shout out, he told me about it. Or Jack. One of the Jack Shapiro. Shout out.
interesting.
One of them told me about it.
Shout out.
Huh.
I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
both of those guys do stuff for On the Line Sports, which you've done some graphics for them as well. So what has that sort of been like? Sorry to transition away from that, but we do have limited time.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is sort of working with
Yeah.
Over the Line been like for you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's been an amazing experience. And especially with the people I'm working with, so many talented people. We have Kayla. I think for the graphics, it's all of the people from our year. So we have Kayla, Lucas, Jack, Kennedy, and I, and Curtis. So he's the founder of O2L. What am I saying? OTL Sports, and like he kind of brought us together. And like, oh, we need graphics, and we're like, oh, okay, and we're all like, and it's just great, like working in a team like a team collaborative space, especially with those guys, because they're like so hardworking. You know they're gonna get the job done, and they're obviously so talented as well. So it's great. Also getting ideas from them, like, hey guys, what do you think of this? And you obviously trust their opinion because they're obviously like really talented. But no, yeah, it's been a great experience, and I hope to continue my time at Over the Line Sports. Me acting like I have a contract. Like I hope to continue. I hope to continue like my time, but no, yeah.
Yeah, this is just scratching the surface of the stuff you've done. Like, you've worked for New Wave magazine as well, Sports Buzz, which you mentioned earlier, and I want to dive into this a little bit. Your internship with the Barrie Colts. What was that like, and how did you get involved with Barrie and all that sort of thing?
Okay, so that was a very short internship. I think that happened like December to April, or yeah, December to April, I think, or November
I
to
think it
April.
might have been March. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'm basing it off your LinkedIn.
Oh, yay. But so I think someone in our group chat texted, "Oh, hey guys, if you want to an internship at Barrie Coles for like there's a graphic designer position opening, apply to it." And I read this at work and I was kind of stressed. I was like, wait, I need to go home and make some graphics. So I got home, I quickly because I think he asked for something specific. So I made that, sent it in, and he was like, oh yeah, like that's really good. We'd love to have you like as have you for an internship or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, no problem. So I worked for them for like 3 months, 4 months. And then he actually, the guy who hired me, I think he got a promotion. So, and they got a promotion. So he was like, oh, I'm going to have to let you go. And I was like, cool, cool, bye. But so yeah, it was fine. But it was a great experience. I think that was one of the first times I was like, that it was more like fast paced, because obviously sports is, fast paced. And I made the game day graphics and the post game stuff as well. A couple post game stuff and like the IG stories, but no, yeah, it was an overall great experience. And the guy who hired me, I'm like, we only talked through email, but I'm sure he was a very nice man. But yeah.
I've noticed a trend with all of these people so far, and that's very nice. But I'm sure they are. The TSN people especially, like you can get that sort of sense through their content and everything like that. I don't necessarily follow the OHL, but I know some of the people in our program. I think you did the graphics for a potential new podcast. I'm not really sure where that's sitting at with, I think it was Patrick Rain and Kyle Watson.
Yeah.
Who I was supposed to audio produce for. So we'll see what happens with that. But what has it sort of been like just sort of having people approach you and say, we want your graphics because we actually like what you're making, as opposed to sort of having to go out and really put yourself out there, having people come to you?
And
What
do
is
these
that been
people pay you? No, I'm
No,
kidding.
We're
guys,
not going to get into that.
I'm kidding.
like no. It's really okay. Everyone in our program is super nice, and I'm down to take on another project. Like, I'm like, if it fits the schedule, if I'm able to do it, it's totally fine. But when they reach out to me, I'm just like, oh wait, really? Like, it's kind of surprising because obviously they're really talented, but I would be more than happy to like do something, because in the end, like, they're my classmates, and like they're asking, it's just another thing to add in the portfolio, I guess. So
It's like Joe says, you never know who your next boss is going to be. So be nice to everybody. I think it was Joe who said that.
Oh, yeah. Everybody says that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this industry is so small, so you definitely don't want to, be on someone's wrong side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what this program and what we're trying to do with this is we're trying to give people a platform to tell their story, because we're really interested in what people have to say. I feel like we say this every episode, but just sort of see like you accomplishing like insane stuff working for TSN, hearing about Ella now get a job at TSN or internship or whatever that position is. And Hunter last summer, he worked with Sportsnet.
Daniel, MLSE.
Daniel at MLSE, like you look at how accomplished these people are, and it's like, it makes you feel like, oh, maybe I should be doing a little bit more. But at the same time, you're realizing that these are people who are incredibly talented at specific things where there are open positions, and you need to understand that you're getting there. And
everyone has a different journey.
Yeah, you've got to get your foot in the door. And clearly you've done that, considering you're now partially working for TSN. But we try to wrap up every sort of personal segment, I guess, the interview segment, with sort of a very similar question. And it's, what is your biggest suggestions? Like, what sort of advice would you give to incoming sport media students, graphic designers, just people who are looking to get into the industry in general?
Well, one thing we didn't mention, be nice to everyone. But also, okay, so obviously be nice to everyone, but in a way where, I feel like this program can get competitive, obviously. You guys know, it can get competitive in various aspects. And I think focusing on your own progress, learning to do better every day is the most important thing. Like other people's accomplishments don't make you like less accomplished in a way, because that's what I found, like that I've had to learn for these couple years. You see like people like thriving, like living their best life, but that doesn't mean you're, like everyone has a different journey, and in the end, just know it's going to work out and you have to work for it. But yeah, that's my take. And yeah, because this program can get competitive if you guys haven't noticed, but in a good way. There is healthy competition, but there's like other ones where you're like, oh, I want to see them like fail, but which is never a good thing. Like, why would you like always hype up your like colleagues, like hype, like if they're like starting a podcast, like, share it on your story, like, just make like that's so people will definitely appreciate it, especially if it's coming to your classmates and stuff. But yeah, that's my thing.
In other words,
That's really
like all of people's posts on Instagram, share them, hype up your people.
Or just be nice. Just be nice and
treat people the way you want to be treated, I think, is the best way of putting it. I know it's like a elementary school kind of saying, and I think it's just very true. And that's the biggest thing in this industry. If you treat people the way you want to be treated, they'll hopefully treat you the same way. But yeah, I think we'll sort of wrap up our interview segment here. And we don't have a timer on this call, so either we got extended or potentially we are getting close.
Connor
as I say that, the timer shows up. That's so frustrating. Let's quickly, though, talk. I guess we could do baseball in this time frame
Yeah.
because we have a ton of basketball and hockey to talk about. And we have about an hour left with Therese before she has to go and do an actual job, which she gets potentially actually paid for, as opposed to this podcast. Actually, let's do the boycotts instead of baseball. We can maybe get to baseball in a second, but when we wrapped up our last podcast, it was basically as the Bucks boycotted the game. They didn't come out of the locker room. All that stuff was happening. So I thought we should sort of touch on it in terms of everything that sort of went down and different people's responses. I think basically I'll sum up what we all probably think. And we have a ton of respect for the athletes for doing this, for using their platform to push for these, I guess, how do I put this? Push for change, I guess, and
Justice.
push for the bettering of society, because it definitely isn't bettered right now. There's still a ton of issues, and you've seen that over the last weeks and months and 400 plus years. I feel like humans are just bad in general, but we're trying to improve. And I think that's the biggest thing in terms of what these players are pushing for, is they're trying to push for improvement. And I think with this movement they have, one of the things that came out of it was all of the NBA arenas that are owned by teams are now voting stations or polling places. And that's huge for voting. And I look at the NHL, who they were a day late. I think it's no negative to saying that. They didn't do it the Wednesday night when they could have, and instead did the Thursday and Friday. But they also announced some things. And I think I don't think people should jump on the league if they aren't necessarily acting immediately, if they're sort of thinking through what they're doing. Because as Elliot Friedman said on the 31 Thoughts podcast, when he was sort of talking about the boycotts, the NHL look at this as they only have one shot. That's why they haven't done a ton of stuff with the Black Players. Is it the Black Players Coalition? Or that's MLS. I can't.
Hockey Diversity
Alliance. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hockey Diversity Alliance. That's why they haven't immediately done stuff with them, is they sort of want to understand where they're at and what they can do. And I'd say you need to give them a little bit of time, but also understand you got to push them. And if you don't push, change isn't going to happen. And we've seen that with the amount of protests and everything that's happened. And Aiden and I have both been very vocal about how our support and on social media. I know, Therese, you've done a bunch of stuff, posts, retweets, things like that. And to see what Naomi Osaka did throughout the US Open with the face masks was amazing. And I think we just need to shout them out and sort of say good on the athletes, because we haven't had a podcast since then, and what they did was huge. But yeah, another league that we need to shout out that doesn't get enough attention in terms of their pushing for racial equality is the WNBA, because they've done a ton of stuff. And on the night, they showed up with 7 fake bullet holes in the backs of their shirts, representing the 7 shots that Jacob Blake took to the back, which ended up paralyzing him. But yeah, shout out to the WNBA, because they've been doing a lot of really, really good things. Do you have anything you want to add, either of you, to the whole boycott discussion?
I think you said it best, Connor. I think, we stand by these athletes, and I applaud the NBA for taking action right away. I like what the NHL did, not the first day, but the 2 days afterwards, taking the break off and getting the players to really speak up. And it showed, you really felt what Ryan Reeves was saying, guys like Jason Dickinson, other guys on other teams stepping up and being vocal about it. I think, it doesn't just stop here, though. You have to, even though the games have continued on, you still have to spread these messages and keep, being vocal about it. I think just 2 days of no sports isn't really going to do much. It has to carry on.
No, yeah, I agree. And NBA definitely proved that it is so much more than basketball. But with the NHL, it's kind of a question. Is it activism or performative? Are they just treating Black Lives Matter as a trend, or are they actually going to continue acting upon it? But we'll see. Like with the Hockey Diversity Alliance, they definitely changed it in a way where, they just started something, because the thing with, I think, who's part of it? Matt Dumba,
Evander Kane.
Evander Kane, Wayne Simmons.
They're doing amazing stuff. Like
Akeem Alou.
Yeah.
It's most of the players of color in the NHL. And I do want to shout out the Western Conference because that press conference the day after was amazing, having every player there. And that wasn't prompted, that just sort of happened. And I think that's really important. It shows that they actually want to see change and have change happen. Let's quickly, just so we can fire this off, get it out of the way. Baseball. Aiden, what did you think of the Jays trade deadline? Because we haven't done a podcast since then.
Jeez, man, that was a while ago. I don't even remember their moves. Robbie Ray, I think they got a pitcher. He's okay. I think he's had like maybe 1 or 2 starts as a Jay so far. The first one didn't go to plan. The second one was pretty good though. Who else did they? Oh, they got Jonathan Villar, a middle infielder. He's very versatile, one of the fastest guys in the league, so he's good. I forget. I think they just made some more minor moves. They got Ross Stripling, another solid, pitching depth piece. But just the Jays as a whole, I can talk about, like, they got Bo Bichette back, who is arguably their best hitter this year. He was out for over a month, so he's back now. Vladdy looks good. Gurriel looks good. Hyunjin Ryu has an ERA below 3 right now, which is very good. If he can keep that up, I think, maybe they go far. I like how they added the pitching depth. Unfortunately, Teoscar Hernandez is injured right now. Unfortunately, Rowdy Tellez is out for the whole year as well. So those are 2 big losses for the Jays. But currently, they're in 7th place, and that will get them into the playoffs. So I don't know, Jays fans. I think, this season we were expecting them to compete for a wild card spot, but we didn't think that they would be in a playoff spot at this time of the year already. And people are saying the Jays are still a few years away. They're still in a rebuild phase. I think this team has a shot to maybe win a round this year, and it will be against a good opponent, but I would watch out. If they get Ryu going good again, if they get Shoemaker back, Taiwan Walker they also got at the deadline. He's a good piece. So they have like 3 solid good pitchers, and that's really all you need in the playoffs. Last night was awful. I think they lost like 20-6. So it's against the Yankees, and the Yankees are one of the best teams in the league. So I'm excited. I haven't watched too much of the Jays this year, to be honest, but there's only just over 15 games left in the year, and every game is important. So I would definitely jump on the bandwagon now that the Raptors are not playing anymore. Leafs were done playing a while ago. So I would watch some Blue Jays baseball. There's no basketball or hockey tonight. The Jays are on, so I would definitely tune in. It's a big game tonight, Yankees.
You're just going to ignore the fact that soccer is playing tonight, but okay.
Yeah, I am.
Wow. Huge game, very important game tonight between Montreal and Vancouver.
Yeah, but it's not Toronto, though.
It decides if Toronto ends up going to the Voyageurs Cup, which decides Champions League and whether or not we go there. But
dude, I don't know.
Nobody here
Cup,
cares
I don't
about
know
that.
what that is.
Nobody here cares about that. I'll talk about that on my other podcast. There's my one promo of the next week's podcast, or my other podcast, MLS Multiplex. Go check it out. We have less than a minute on this call, so we are going to take a quick little break and talk NBA and NHL.
She's choking on her water.
As
is she laughing?
Therese is dying, and we'll be right back. All right, and welcome back to the big league. We are now going to talk NBA, as painful as that might be. We'll start off very quickly and say Steve Nash was hired by the Brooklyn Nets to coach their basketball team with no coaching experience. So we'll see how that goes. And he was hired simply because he's friends with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Who knows how this is going to go? But congrats to Steve Nash, I guess.
Canadian.
Canadian, yeah, great. Owner of the Vancouver Whitecaps. I'm going to continue throwing soccer in here as much as I can. Let's talk Clippers Nuggets, because that happened last night, and that we'll just sort of mention that really quickly. The Clippers fell apart. Paul George is terrible. He shot a 3-pointer off the corner of the backboard, which even I don't do that. and I'm terrible. I don't know what happened to that team. Apparently, they were asking to get taken out because they were too tired in the fourth quarter. Like, it was bad. And
Yeah.
shout out Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. Those guys, they went off. Murray especially, as Therese just said, good Canadian boy. Yeah, I really don't know what to say. They came back from being down 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
And
Twice. They've done that twice.
Yeah. The first team, I think, ever to do that twice in playoffs in the NBA. So shout out to them. They're going to have a really tough time with a rested Lakers team. But we'll see. They managed to beat the Clippers, and everyone sort of had the Clippers going either conference finals or finals. So who knows? I don't know if you two were following Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum on Twitter last night, but they were on fire. And if you haven't checked it out, go check it out because it is hysterical. And shout out to my buddy Liam, who I went to high school with this insane stat. The Clippers traded more first-round picks for Paul George than he made field goals last night. So that's never a good thing.
That's an insane stat, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really don't know what else to say that. They were just terrible. Quickie Raptors stuff. Pascal Siakam was named to the All-NBA second team, which is good for him. Bad for the Raptors cap situation because he now makes like a ton more money on his salary for the next 4 years on his deal, which isn't ideal when you're trying to sign Giannis next summer. But good for him. He got his money and you have to be happy for him. Nick Nurse signed a multi-year extension with the Toronto Raptors, which I like. He's a great coach, proven that throughout this season and last year. So shout out to him. Let's quickly run through the Toronto-Boston series, and then I want to get your takes on what you think the Raps should do or will do this offseason. So Toronto started off badly. They were down 2-0 to the Boston Celtics. They ended up coming back to tie the series 2-2 thanks to an OG Anunoby buzzer beater, which was insane. The pass from Lowry was nuts. That wasn't even human. And then Anunoby hitting that shot, I lost my mind. I think a lot of people probably did too. He was incredible that entire series. Both he and Lowry were really, really good. Pascal, not so much. He was okay defensively, I'd say. Offensively, he was terrible. There's no real good way to sugarcoat it. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking. Yeah, they just lost Game 7. They didn't deserve to win it. They had way too many turnovers. What did you guys think of that series, and what did you think of the Raptors?
Well, yeah, I mean, when you get off to a 2-0 deficit in the series, that's already a tough start. And then, like, really, they should have lost Game 3 as well. Like, that shot never goes in. That defensive setup from the Boston Celtics should never have happened. I don't know how they let OG get so wide open there. But shout out to OG for making the most out of it and getting that shot away, like, super fast. Yeah, in Game 4, I think the Raptors mostly just won that because they had so much momentum, heading into that game, and they were able to get the dub. But then when it came down to the most important games of the series, Game 5 was crucial. Like, that's a big game. You got to win it. It's like Game 7 2.0, a Game 5. They lost that game, and then they got destroyed in Game 7. And good on them for playing a hard-fought battle in Game 6, but, like, that game could have gone either way as well, like double overtime. It came down to the wire. There was like a missed call on OG in the fourth quarter, I think, as well, that, could have caused the game to go another way. So it's tough because coming into this series, I really thought that the Raptors were like unbeatable. Like, they looked so good. Nick Nurse's game plans were insane. Lowry was good. I think in this series, we just saw some of their big guys kind of crumble. Like, OG had that shot, but in the most important games, he didn't really rise to the occasion. Siakam, obviously, we know all about him, what happened. Powell was good in Game 6. I didn't see much of that fight in Game 7 from him. And then even the guys on the bench, like Gasol didn't play too much. Ibaka didn't play too much. I think we were missing a bit of that depth especially like in Game 7. And I think that's the one strength for the Raptors, their depth, and we just didn't really see it. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating because I didn't think they would lose. But at the same time, and I've been telling other Raptors fans this, like, we can't be spoiled about this team. Like, we won the championship last year. It's really hard to win back-to-back. So I think we need to look at it as like we got our moment to shine last year. And it sucks that we lost in the second round, but we can't hang our heads too much about it, and we should be proud of this team.
I'd have to agree with that. Therese, what are your sort of thoughts on the series?
For the series, definitely, OG, Powell, they all showed up. Siakam, obviously, we don't know. But they're big guys, Boston especially, Tatum, Walker, Brown, obviously everyone knows about Smart. Yeah. You can definitely tell in Game 7, they were just the better team. Like, especially, what was the stat for rebounds? I honestly couldn't tell you, but you can definitely tell. Like, Raptors did have a fight in that series, but you can definitely tell Boston was just the better team in Game 7. But overall, coming down from a 2-0 series deficit, they gave it their all, and like Aiden said, just can't be spoiled in these things. Can't win them all.
Yeah, would have really helped if we had a guy by the name of Kawhi Leonard on our team, and I'm sure he's wishing he was on Toronto following the Clippers series.
I've seen so many people say stuff about that and like the memes and everything. Like, I don't know.
They weren't good enough, right?
Yes, you saw that Lewinberg thing. I was going to say, yeah, Josh Lewinberg reported this morning that one of the things he said to the Raptors, he didn't say sources, he said one source. So I don't know how truthful that is, but he said one of the reasons he didn't stay was because he didn't think the Raptors were good enough. And I think if they had Kawhi Leonard, series would have been over in 4, and we probably would have just walked our way to.
We would have won. We would have won the championship. Yes.
Yeah. So screw you, Kawhi, for leaving.
No, buddy. I don't agree with people saying that though. I don't agree with people saying like dissing Kawhi right now. Like, look at what he did for us last year. We cannot be spoiled about this. Let the guy be. He wanted to go home. He went home. I just don't agree with it. Like, you can be angry about it in the moment, but
I don't think it's anger. I think it's just pettiness.
Yeah, I don't think we don't need to be petty. Toronto fans, we should not be petty. We should be grateful. We're Toronto Maple Leafs fans. We don't need to be spoiled.
Not all of us. One of us isn't. One of us has actually experienced success in the last decade.
That is
okay.
True.
My family's a Leafs fan. Like, don't worry, guys. I'm on your team here. Don't worry.
I don't know. I just saw so many people just making memes of Kawhi yesterday, and like it's the same people that were saying that he was the king last year. Yeah. And like it just switches like that as soon as Kawhi loses and the Raptors lose, right? Like, I think we need to kind of like be a bit more realistic about it and be thankful for what he actually did for us.
I don't think the Lewinberg report helped anything.
Right. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, if he said that, then yeah, I guess I can see it a little bit.
Like, I'm just so glad Kawhi doesn't have social media right now.
I said that last night too.
Like, you already know that's gonna be wild.
I pity Paul George's Instagram and Twitter. God, that's gonna be. Oh, he's gonna have a rough couple days. He's got to stay off his phone because he had a just dreadful playoffs, and wow.
Yeah. Like, I kind of feel bad, but yeah, for Siakam.
I feel bad, and then I realized that they're making hundreds of millions of dollars to play basketball for a living, and are also giant as opposed to me. Look, they're basketball players. They'll get over this. The Clippers will be just as dangerous next year because they have nobody expiring that's really that big of a deal, and they've got the two best 6 men of the year in Lou Williams and Mo Harris, or not Mo Harris. Harrell, Montrezl Harrell. That's what I was thinking of. He won at that this week, so they're in a good spot. But let's talk hockey because we have a limited amount of time, and I want to get to all of this because there's a ton of stuff. We don't necessarily have to comment on everything, but just sort of list off what's happened. Let's start with what Montreal's done, because they've been pretty busy trade-wise, which is a little confusing, and they have a ton of cap space, so I guess they can. But they acquired Jake Allen. They gave him up a third and a seventh this year, as well as nothing else. And St. Louis sent them Jake Allen, who's making around $4 million for one more season. Then he's a UFA next summer, and a 7th-round pick in 2022, which I really have to wonder, why did GMs do that? Why don't you just stick it to a third and Jake Allen?
Because you could end up with like a Pavel Datsyuk in the 7th round.
But, then just keep your pick. You're swapping 7th rounders.
I think it's also not just for the value, or like the value of what you can get for that pick, like the player. It's not for the player. It's for the value of the pick. So you can always trade that 7th if you want to improve on another trade, potentially.
I guess
I'm trying to make some sense.
An AHL goalie for that, but yeah, I guess. I don't know. I thought it was interesting that they did that. Now they have $14.85 million tied up into 2 goalies in Price and Allen. So that tandem is going to be insane. And we'll see what they do with the expansion draft next summer, because Jake Allen is a UFA, but at the same time, Carey Price's contract isn't ideal, I guess is a good way of putting it. Paying $10.5 million or $10 million for a goalie who's already in his 30s. I guess Florida can tell you about that one, can't they? With Sergei Bobrovsky. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what Montreal looks like next season. What do you two think about Montreal having $14.85 million tied up in goalies for next year?
I think Carey Price has needed a solid backup for years, and I guess Canadiens found it in Jake Allen. And yeah, I honestly think he's not going to win. Like, he needs his days off here.
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
Like, yeah, that's my take on it.
I agree with that. I think they need to find as many off days for Carey Price next year, and rest him up for playoffs, because we saw what he could do if he's rested and like he stole the series against Pittsburgh and almost, well, I wouldn't say almost, but he put up a good fight against Philly as well. So I think I like the signing. It's a lot of money, though. It is a lot of money, but they have the cap space.
They do have the cap space, and they're taking advantage of that cap space after acquiring Joel Edmondson from Carolina for a 5th rounder this year. He's upcoming UFA, but there are rumors that he's close to a 3 to 5 year deal in the $3.5 to $4 million range. So what do you think about that contract for Montreal? And do you think that was a good move by the Canadiens acquiring Edmondson ahead of time when they probably could have just gotten him in free agency, because he probably won't be that coveted considering nobody has any money?
I don't know about this one. Like, if they didn't have this much cap space, they wouldn't have done it. Because if you're trading for a guy who's a free agent, then the ball is in the free agent's court. The ball is in Edmondson's court. He can ask for as much as he wants, and Montreal would probably have to give him that, or they basically gave up a 5th round pick for nothing, right? So he has the upper level in this department. And I think 3 to 5 years for Edmondson is a good amount of term for his age.
Montreal.
If he gets, huh?
Oh, are you talking about Edmondson?
Yeah, Edmondson.
His contract? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But $4 million for Joel Edmondson is a bit much, I think, though. I think I was leaning towards like maybe $3 million max. And, you know, if Montreal doesn't trade for him, he's not getting $4 million. But like, shout out, good for Joel Edmondson. He's going to get paid. Yeah. And I know he's a good defenseman. He's maybe a 5th defenseman, right? 5th defenseman on a team. Maybe cracks a top 4. Yeah.
He's a left-handed defenseman, correct? Yes.
Yeah.
And
he's left-handed.
Their left side isn't great. Like, they've got Jeff Petrie and Shea Weber, but they're both right-handed. So maybe it's trying to solidify that left side. I know Ben Sherratt had a pretty good year. Maybe they're going to look at dealing
Victor
him.
Mete, Alexander Romanov.
He hasn't played yet. Romanov.
Right.
He's a new signing.
There's someone else as well. Fleury.
He is. Fleury, isn't he on?
Yeah, the Hayden Fleury is on Carolina.
Yeah.
Cal Fleury is on Montreal.
Right.
He's another prospect.
Yeah.
They got
Montreal's
some depth.
They're going to be interesting next year. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see what they do with Mete, who's an upcoming RFA. But I guess we'll just sort of have to wait and see, because I think this offseason is going to be the most insane one we've seen potentially ever. And that Stamkos Subban thing, remember that little stretch of like 3 hours, 3 days?
Taylor Hall for Adam Larson.
Taylor Hall for Adam Larson. Yeah. I think that's going to be this entire offseason. And it's going to be just nutty, especially when you look at how many teams are shopping players. You know, you look at what Arizona is doing right now. They've just apparently had a verbal agreement with Bill Armstrong, who's a St. Louis assistant GM, but they haven't finalized a contract. Arizona wants to cut a ton of salary, and that includes Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and apparently they want to deal Darcy Kemper. Rumors around Darcy Kemper are there's an offer on the table that involves a late teens, somewhere in the 20s, we're not really sure, first-round pick. And in a stacked draft, that's very valuable. So we'll see where that sort of goes. I think they wanted to pick in the teens.
Hey, yo, Toronto, we got the 15th. We got the 15th. You might trade it, and then we can trade Freddie.
We might, but...
Was Freddie actually leaving?
Potentially. Do you think he's going to leave?
I think he should. I this is a hot take, but I think he makes really he's a great goalie, but I just don't think he's all, that. Like, he's no Carey Price. Like that's just me. But
yeah, that's true. He makes half of what Price makes, but he's an upcoming UFA, and not this season, next season. So there are rumors and sort of the belief in Freddie's camp is that he's going to get dealt. He's not really preparing to be a Leaf next year. He's sort of preparing to get moved. And considering he's only getting physically paid $1 million, that's going to be huge for a team like Arizona. So I'm hoping for a Freddie Kemper swap, but who knows, because they already have Antti Raanta.
Yeah, they were saying Freddie to Carolina. And then I'm like, wait, you know who's also in Carolina? Reimer.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
Yeah, it was.
So he's coming back.
Those rumors are sort of surrounding. They'd involve one of Mrazek or Reimer as a cap dump, and then we'd get something else on top of that.
Probably.
I've seen Dougie Hamilton's name out there, which that'll never happen.
Yeah, probably like probably not even Slavin. Slavin would be good. But what's that other guy? They have so many defensemen on Carolina.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
It's interesting. I know LEL is potential trade candidate for the Leafs, but he's making I think it's like $9 million, 8.5. So
there's still talks about Petrangelo's destinations are Toronto and Vegas. Just bring on the cap problems.
If he leaves St. Louis, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And their offers are apparently in the $8 million range, and he wants $9 million. So there's still a big gap. And I think it was Jim Rutherford, who's the Athletics beat reporter in St. Louis, said if he gets to free agency, he's going to leave. He won't re-sign with St. Louis. So it's an interesting situation to watch, the entire free agency situation, and especially with coaches. You look at Peter Laviolette, he's been on the market for a while. He just got hired by Washington. Babcock and Gallant were both interviewed for that position, and they didn't get picked up. You had Jeff Ward, who's the coach of the Calgary Flames, after he took on their team mid-season. He had his interim tagged removed, so he's now their full-time head coach. Dallas just did that with their head coach if he wants to stay. There are rumors he may not want to stay. He may just want to retire. But we'll see. It's going to be a crazy offseason, and cross your fingers Bruce Boudreau becomes the next Leafs assistant coach, because they still have an opening, and I'm going to continue to push for that infinitely. Let's see. What else do we have to hit today? I guess we could talk Stanley Cup Final, considering that's kind of a big event going on right now.
Well, it hasn't been finalized yet, but yeah.
One of the teams has, and the Dallas Stars, who shocked everybody and beat Vegas. Did either of you see that coming?
I did not. I didn't have Dallas coming out of the second round, to be honest. But I'm really glad that in the finals, not gonna, I wanted to be Tampa and Dallas so badly.
I think it will be. I actually said and my Hockey Life manager can back me up on this. I said Dallas in 5 after game 1. So,
Wow.
yeah, I know. I just liked what I saw from Dallas, and for some reason, and Peter DeBoer said it best, Thatcher Demko just completely messed up Vegas's offense. Like, they couldn't generate anything in the past 2 games of that series, and then it just continued on to this one. And I mean, Dallas, first of all, I've watched like every single Dallas Stars game. I've watched a ton of Dallas Stars this entire season because I had Ben, Radulov, and Seguin on my fantasy team. So I was watching a ton of Dallas Stars.
Wow.
And I'm still watching them. And they're just so fun to watch. Like, Miro Heiskanen is so talented defensively. John Klingberg is good. Guryanov, Kiviranta, Rupe Hintz is actually like a decent player in this league.
Khudobin's been playing out of his mind.
Yeah, Khudobin's been great. But the only reason why they won in 5 games, in my opinion, is Jamie Benn. And he just took his game to like another level in this series, and he scored some big goals. So, like, I think if Dallas wins the cup, maybe he gets the Conn Smythe. It's probably him or Khudobin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's carried this team. Ben Bishop, I don't think he's really been that healthy for the entire playoffs. They've been very impressive, and I didn't see them going, as Therese said, like out of the second round. I thought they were going to get wiped off the floor.
Yeah.
Although my Stanley Cup pick, I think, got eliminated first round. So.
Oh, same.
Carolina?
No.
Oh, you Chicago.
Boston?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, like, don't judge, but my it was like a remake of the 2010 finals. So I had Flyers in Chicago.
Okay, I think I had
Okay,
Flyers
that's not
going
bad.
pretty far too.
I had Flyers going, like, winning it all. But
Wow.
Yeah, that's what everybody thought. But hey, they ran into the Islanders. I have Tampa still.
They weren't even playing James Van Riemsdyk. Which
Were they not?
I think he was getting healthy scratched.
Oh, wow.
like, what?
That's a lot of money they have tied into him too. So we'll see.
I gotta
if he gets
say
moved.
that I really want to see Dallas win this thing. Like, even though I've made Tampa my prediction, and I have Vasilevsky on my fantasy team as well, and I need him to win, but I want Dallas to win this whole thing. Like, it'd be really exciting to see.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Pavelski
for Rick Bowness, yeah, Corey Perry gets the cup. Jamie Benn gets the cup.
Corey Perry's already got a cup, doesn't he?
His second, yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, he does. In
He's got
Anaheim,
one
yeah,
for
that was a
Ducks.
long while ago though.
Yeah.
But also on the other side, if the Islanders make it to the final, I'll really want Dallas to win. But if Tampa makes it to the final, like, they are very much deserving of this cup as well. Like, I don't know who's going to win that series. It's going to be so interesting because Dallas gives up a ton of shots, but they're just Khudobin and like they make the saves at the right time. And Tampa, they were known for their offense in the past, but it seems like their defense is so good now as well. It's like a team that kind of like flip-flop places in some way. So and like Tampa's been knocking on the door for so long trying to win this thing. So I wish there was 2 cups to give out because both teams are really deserving, and it's gonna be sad to see one of them lose in the end. Like, John Cooper would be crushed, Bonus would be crushed.
Yeah.
So
just looking at it, Tampa has great defense. Like Alex Killorn, Ryan McDonough.
Ryan McDonough, yeah.
Right, John.
That was the JT Miller trade, wasn't it? Was McDonough and Miller for Nemestikov, their first round pick,
Jeez,
and some other player.
Their roster's just stacked. Like, especially without Stamkos and
Stamkos.
Like, that guy's always injured. Like,
he's practicing.
But I don't think he's going to be back from the sounds of it, based on Cooper's comments.
I can't picture them winning without Stamkos, to be honest. I feel so bad for him. Like, the 1 year they make it to, well, he's been in the cup final before, but the 1 year they might actually win the cup, he's not going to be on the ice with them. You think he'll hoist the cup?
Yes. Yeah. He will, if he physically can.
You think?
We don't know what the injury is.
Well, he's been practicing. I've seen videos of him skating around. He looks okay.
Doesn't mean he can lift his arms over his head. He's got like a separated shoulder or something.
True,
or a
but he's been
dislocated
shooting
shoulder.
the puck. I've seen him shoot and stuff. He
You've
looks
seen him shoot?
okay. Yeah.
Okay. I wonder what it is then. Maybe it's a concussion. He
And,
wouldn't be
and
skating
he's got the long hair now. He's got a full
Oh,
beard.
Oh, he's got the flow too.
Yeah, you got to look at the
Nice.
videos. Yeah.
Oh my
Huh.
God.
He'll carry it for sure.
Thing. I
Yes.
hope so too. But
He's been so important to that team, and especially in the regular season. Like, there's no reason for him not to.
Should we talk about this White Cloud penalty that ended the series? That Dallas Vegas.
It was a penalty. I don't know what do you want to say? Like,
Yeah. No, I guess it was very
Over.
controversial. It's a penalty. Yeah, it is a penalty.
yeah, I saw Don Cherry's take on it because I can't remember who tweeted that. I think he tweeted it, but I saw it on like an Instagram account that he doesn't like the penalty, and I don't think Burke liked it, but Bieksa did.
No, Burke liked it.
Burke liked it, and Bieksa didn't. Then I can't
Oh,
remember.
Bieksa liked it too. Kelly Hrudey didn't like it.
Kelly Hrudey, that's who it was. Yeah, it was one of the CBC guys. I like the penalty. I think that should be a penalty. Because otherwise you get into the issue of players just firing out of the rink and drilling a fan in the head. And we've seen what's happened with that before where people have died. So I have no issue with the penalty. Look, it's a penalty. You can't, the puck can't go out off your stick without hitting anything. And it's in the rules. And it's the one penalty that actually gets called over whether or not there's no if and or buts. That's a penalty. So I don't know. Let's, I guess, sort of wrap up this sort of hockey discussion. I'm shocked we got through everything in the time that we have.
Yeah, good job, Connor.
It's been you too as well. Chicago, because Therese, you're a Jonathan Toews diehard fan, and what do you think of Chicago? What do they do this offseason? Where do they go from here?
well, as a Hawks fan, I love living in the past, so you guys know that. But this offseason, it is a question to see if Corey Crawford will resign, because I actually have no clue. Maybe I have no clue about that, but if you guys look at the series power play, it's literally just Toews, Kane, Keith passing it to each other, not even like shooting the puck. Like, that's not going to happen. I definitely think we have Kubalik, like we obviously we have like a lot of young guns, so we have
Strome,
DeBrincat. He didn't have a good year.
And then we also have defensemen in Connor Murphy. So we do have a lot of things, and we also have Kirby Dach, obviously.
Kirby Dach, yeah.
That's somebody.
If he develops like a shooting mentality, like a shoot first mentality, he's going to be insane in the league. And the thing is, I think they need to find a way to get some defensemen up in here, because old man Keith, he can't hold the Brent Seabrook's gone.
Yeah.
There's literally no one.
Mm-hmm.
No one.
They did have somebody in Yuki Haru, but then they traded him for Alex Nylander. So
they have Adam Boqvist still.
Adam Boqvist, yeah.
Oli Mata.
They acquired him.
He I swear he had like more stats than Patrick Kane in that Vegas series, but no, I honestly think focusing on defensemen is a big one, because the key guys, they're just getting old. They're not in their prime anymore. Like Toews is getting old. Kane, obviously he's Patrick Kane, but they need help in that department. But I definitely think defense is like the big thing.
Okay, so quickly, we'll give you like a 1-sentence answer.
Yes.
Is it time for a rebuild on the fly in Chicago?
Like, what do you mean?
Trade Kane and Toews and reset.
No. I'm saying, okay, Aiden, what do you think?
I think Kane and Toews are long-time Flyers. Like, they're going to play – or not Flyers.
Hawks.
Definitely not Flyers. I don't see them trading them.
No way. After all they've done for this team, no. Like, they're going to retire Hawks. That's my take on it. And they better. If what not, Stan Bowman's going to catch these hands. Like, honestly. There's no way.
All right. And final name, Corey Crawford. Stay or go?
Oh my god.
Rumors are he is going to resign.
No, I can't help
That's
but
a
think
rumor.
if Chicago still had Robin Leonard, like
That's what
how far could they have gone this year?
Imagine if the Leafs still had Robin Leonard.
Yeah, man.
if
Yo, I'm considering getting a Robin Leonard jersey just for jokes.
Yeah, a lot of Hawks fans don't like Robin Leonard now because he was apparently stealing Crawford's his first spot. And I'm like, come on, he was a great backup.
Same with Fleury.
Yeah, exactly. He's a great Robin Leonard's a great goalie. Like, it would have been interesting to see if he stayed with the Hawks, but Hawks had other plans, and I guess we have Malcolm Subban now.
It's not bad. It's not terrible.
Not terrible.
All right. That concludes sports talk, I guess. Yeah, I guess we can call it that. Now, as you know, Therese, we've told you about this earlier. We have a recurring segment on this show called Hot Takes. So we give a hot take every week and we see if it comes true. For instance, in the past, the only one we've ever gotten correct, Aiden predicted Babcock getting fired. Other hot takes, I said the MLB would be the first league back following COVID. I also said the Raptors would go back to back. So you don't have to be right. We're usually just completely and utterly wrong. But do either of you have one prepared? Because we only have 5 minutes left in this call.
So it's just predicting, right?
Yeah.
Just random hot take. Like Sidney Crosby is the third best player in the NHL sort of thing, which he isn't. He's second best.
Oh my God, you guys are going to hate me.
All right, let's hear it.
She's going to say Crosby is fourth best.
Behind Toews, Kane, and McDavid.
And Adam Boqvist.
Oh God. No.
Dominic Kubalik.
Okay. Mitch Marner. Okay, actually, no. Okay, I'll do another one.
No, keep going. I want to hear this.
I'll do another one. Pierre-Luc Dubois was better than Matthews in their series. Is that a hot take?
That's not a hot take, no. That's not a hot take.
That's just my shit. Aiden left.
I don't know why he left. That's just true. And I don't know why he's mad. That was just true. He was better in that series. Matthews was terrible against Columbus. The entire Leafs team was. But we'll let you off with it because that is fairly hot. If you say is better than Matthews, period, that's a hot take.
Okay, let me do another one. Tampa's gonna win the cup. I don't know. That's a hot take.
All right.
I wasn't mad about that one. I was just shocked. Like I think, like in terms of stats, Dubois was better, but I still think Matthews was the best player in that series.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's a hot take for a reason, though.
Yeah. What's your hot take?
Carey Price is going to get traded this offseason.
No, you did not just say that.
Yeah.
Who did you say? Sorry, my head just got out.
Carey Price is going to get traded this offseason.
That's a hot take. I'd say that's the right take, but that's a hot take.
Yeah.
All right. My hot take. This is tough. I'm debating between two, both of which are going to be completely wrong. The Leafs somehow find a way to acquire Darcy Kemper in exchange for Frederik Andersen, but the Leafs massively win the trade.
Oh. Okay.
So we don't put any sort of picks in, they do. I think the Leafs will massively win a Kemper trade. I hope.
I could see
other
that.
hot.
Yep.
I think did I say this hot take last time? If not, I think Victor Mete could be a Toronto Maple Leaf next season.
You definitely didn't say that before.
Okay. I think Victor Mete could be a Toronto Maple Leaf next season. I think the Leafs and Montreal are prime trade partners in that front. But with that, we want to thank Therese for coming on. Thank you. We really appreciate it in your insanely busy schedule. I know you have to work in like half an hour, so we'll keep this short. Thank you.
This was really fun.
Thank you for coming on. If you want to check out any of her stuff, it's all below. Her Instagram graphics page is rese.vs. You can check that out there. We'll link her YouTube channel below so you can check out her Scott Moyer and Tessa Virtue fan videos. You can check out.
You went that deep. Like you
have like.
Isn't there Blackhawks stuff on there too?
Yeah,
you have like 10 videos. You have like 10 videos up.
Yeah.
And 5 of them
And
are
you
those.
did a vlog, right? You did a vlog with
She
Kayla.
did do a vlog, yes.
Yes, we did a vlog, daily sport media students. Right before Corona happened, so it was perfect timing. And the
There you
NBA
go.
canceled their season, so perfect.
Yeah. So you can find out all her stuff down below if you want to watch any of her YouTube videos or check out her graphics, which are absolutely insane.
Yes.
Go check them out. She's unreal at graphics, and she's feeling just absolutely terrible right now because for some reason she can't take compliments, even though she should. We'll also link her Wix site where she compiles all her graphics. That's Therese Sevilla, SEVILLA.wixsite.com. So that'll be down below as well. Aiden, I'll send you that. And with that, thank you for listening. Check out my MLS podcast at the MLS Multiplex Podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Check out Aiden's podcast
At Unlimited Pod.
at Unlimited Podcast.
Check it out. Spotify, YouTube. Check it
all
all
the
out.
above. You can follow Aiden on Instagram.
At Aiden Silifant.
You can follow Therese on Twitter.
Sevsre. SEVSESRE.
All right, that'll be linked below. And you can follow me on Twitter at CWGSOMERVILLE. And with that, thank you for listening. We will see you next week. Keep an eye out. We might be on Spirit Live pretty soon, but hopefully we'll see. We applied for that this morning. But we will see you next week. And with that, goodbye.